Emmerdale has revealed the initial suspects in the mystery surrounding Kim Tate's poisoning storyline. The businesswoman is set to be taken to hospital next week after becoming unwell during a meal with the Dingles. As Kim tries to bring peace between the two families, it becomes clear that someone may be preparing to spark conflict. The question remains, who among her many enemies made the first move? In tonight's episode, Joe Tate instructed his team to tear down everything at Butlers Farm, including Holly Barton's gravesite, despite Kim previously promising Moira Dingle it would be protected. A devastated Matty Barton later found his sister's memorial destroyed, and the Dingles quickly accused Kim, assuming it was done out of spite. Lydia stood up for her friend, saying she couldn't believe Kim would do such a thing. However, Mac Boyd argued that Kim could have easily had someone else carry out the act for her. Chaz then declared that Kim's actions amounted to a clear declaration of war, knowing how much it meant to Moira. Later on, Kim insisted to Lydia and Matty that she had nothing to do with it, but Matty remained doubtful. They warned her that the truth would come out, and the family wouldn't stop until they found who was responsible. At the same time, Joe pretended he knew nothing about the destruction, but Graham Foster and Ross Barton both suspected his involvement. The Dingles soon confronted him, but Graham stepped in, blaming the workers and promising to fix the damage. As tensions continued, Joe dropped a bombshell by revealing that Lydia was due to inherit Home Farm. Following this, the family decided to invite Kim over for dinner at Wishingwell Cottage in an attempt to ease the situation. Later, Chas voiced her frustration about making peace with the Tates, but Caleb pointed out that Lydia could eventually sell Home Farm and divide the money among them. When Chas suggested Kim might alter her will again before her death, Caleb hinted that something unexpected could happen to her first. Although they quickly brushed it off as a joke in front of Kane, it raises the question of whether they might actually follow through. Emmerdale showed Tracy Robinson's departure tonight as she set off for a new chapter away from the village. After agreeing to an unexpected job opportunity offered by Cara Robinson, Tracy said her goodbyes and left alongside her daughter, Frankie. These touching moments also signalled the start of Amy Walsh's maternity break in real life, as she and her husband, Toby Alexander Smith, recently welcomed their second baby girl. In the episode, Tracy was seen gathering the rest of her things, while Vanessa Woodfield looked on, clearly upset. Tracy admitted that painful memories in the Dales had been weighing on her, and she felt the need to step away for some time. Vanessa expressed that although she understood Tracy's decision, she still wished she wasn't leaving. As Tracy prepared to go, standing outside with her boxes, Eric Pollard arrived to bid farewell and wished her luck in the future. Tracy commented that he seemed more concerned than Kane, questioning where Frankie's grandfather was. At that moment, Kane and the rest of the Dingles were caught up in another clash with the Tates, following the destruction of Holly Barton's memorial. When Kane eventually rushed to see them off, he was crushed to realize they had already left. Fortunately, Belle later explained everything to Tracy, who decided to wait so Kane could say a proper goodbye to Frankie. Kane reassured Tracy that she was making the right decision and said that Nate would be proud of her. He also promised to visit them at their new place after recovering from his upcoming surgery. The moment ended with an emotional embrace before Tracy and Frankie finally departed. Joe faces the consequences in Emmerdale after carrying out his most disgraceful act so far. Joe Tate has shown a shocking lack of compassion by arranging for Holly Barton's memorial to be destroyed. Now that the Tates own Butlers Farm, they technically have control over what happens to the land. Even so, when Kim Tate spoke with Moira Dingle about her shares being sold, she reassured her that Holly's memorial would always remain accessible. Holly Barton, Moira's daughter, tragically passed away in 2016 after taking drugs. A tree was planted in her memory, and both Moira and her brother Matty Barton often visit it to pay their respects. Without hesitation, Joe instructed 2 workers to remove the memorial in the previous episode. Later, while walking through the fields, Matty discovered the tree had been cut down along with its tributes, leaving him heartbroken. He quickly informed the Dingle family before heading to home farm with Lydia, Dingle. Kim and Graham Foster reacted with shock and insisted they weren't involved, yet suspicion quickly turned toward Joe. Although Graham confronted him directly, Joe denied any responsibility. Back at Wishingwell, the Dingles also believed Joe was behind it, but they had no evidence to prove it. Once again, Graham was left to deal with the aftermath of Joe's actions. He contacted Kane, Chas Dingle, and Mackenzie Boyd, promising that the builders would repair the damage and continue working until the Dingles were satisfied. Having to clean up Joe's mistakes left Graham furious, and he warned him to leave important decisions to those more capable in the future. Destroying Holly's tree seemed to be Joe's attempt to assert his authority, but it failed to have the desired effect. Instead, it nearly cost him his relationship when Dawn Taylor made it clear she wouldn't stay with him if he had been responsible. Joe managed to cover his tracks with a lie, but it raises the question of how long he can keep the truth hidden. While the Dingles still lack solid proof, they are all determined to bring him down. Now, the real question is who will finally expose Joe, and whether it will be enough to make Dawn walk away from him for good. Jacob is left devastated in Emmerdale as a hospital crisis leads to a serious error. Jacob Gallagher is feeling completely overwhelmed, and it's at moments like this that things begin to go wrong. The pressure from his job is taking its toll, as Dr. Todd continues to push him relentlessly, setting unrealistic targets and constantly criticizing him, which damages his confidence. The strain is also affecting his personal life, as he struggles to balance his demanding workload while neglecting everything else. With so much stress building up, Jacob is no longer fully focused on what he's doing. When an emergency situation arises, everything quickly spirals out of control for the distracted trainee, and the patient involved turns out to be Dr. Todd's father. After he suffers a cardiac arrest, Jacob finds himself alone and forced to make a difficult decision: act immediately or wait for his superior to return. Choosing not to delay, the inexperienced medic steps in and begins performing CPR. However, the patient has a do not resuscitate order in place, putting Jacob in a legally risky position. When Dr. Todd discovers what he has done, she immediately calls him in for an explanation. As expected, she reacts with anger, but an exhausted and frustrated Jacob finally answers back. Taken aback by his response, she orders him to leave, leaving him feeling ashamed, regretful, and deeply uncertain about his abilities. Later, while heading home in tears, his lack of concentration leads to even more trouble. Kerry begins to notice his distress and starts to suspect that the pressure he's under is becoming too much. When she later overhears Dr. Todd criticizing him again, she steps in to defend him and confronts the doctor directly. However, Dr. Todd quickly shuts her down by listing all of Jacob's mistakes in detail. There are far more than Kerry expected, leaving her shocked and realizing she may have made the situation worse. With everything falling apart around him, the timing couldn't be worse for Jacob, especially with his baby about to be born. Emmerdale is broadcast on weekday evenings at 8 p.m. on ITV1, with episodes also available to watch via ITVX.